If you think IELTS Speaking Part 3 is easy, don't watch this. However, if you think Part 3 is a challenge, keep watching and find out the secret to getting a high score in IELTS Speaking Part 3. Hello, this is Keith from English Speaking Success and the website The Keith Speaking Academy, here to help you speak better English, give better answers and get a higher score on the IELTS speaking test. To be honest, I hesitated about making this video. Because I thought I might be helping you too much, giving too much away. Not only English phrases, but also new ideas too. I might be making your learning too easy, too much fun. But you know what? I thought, hang on, that's why I'm here. So here you have it. Everything you need to know about IELTS Speaking Part 3. So Keith, how do I get a high score in IELTS Speaking Part 3? Well, great question. There are many things you can do, right? There are teachers on YouTube who'll tell you, improve your fluency. Use more grammar more accurately. Broaden your vocabulary. Improve your pronunciation. The band descriptors. Yes, Keith. Yes, I know. But you know, that's just too general. Give me something more specific I can work with. Well, there is something that I think is key to Part 3, and very few people are talking about it. Now, hopefully, you understand that in Part 3, you need to develop your answers, right? Nod your head. Right. Good. But how do you do that? Well, this is it. And this, for me, is hugely important. It's all about HOTS. H-O-T-S. What does that stand for? Higher order thinking skills. These are critical thinking skills at a higher level, different from lower level thinking skills, which includes things like memorizing, reciting, repeating, rote learning, right? The higher order thinking skills are things like analysing, reasoning, justifying, evaluating, speculating or predicting the future, right? All of these things, these are your higher order thinking skills. And this is exactly what you need in IELTS Speaking Part 3. If you're a teacher, you'll probably know about these, right? If you don't, go and check out Bloom's taxonomy. It's so important to get your students thinking critically. So, in IELTS Speaking Part 3, it's not enough to say, for example, let's take a question, right? Should we let children use mobile phones? It's not enough to say, yes, I think so. That's a good idea. With the advancement of technology in modern society, mobile phones are much more prominent. Right? Low level, not so good, right? Bit of memorization. So we need to be reasoning and synthesizing ideas. For example, I'd say so, yes. For one, they can help them do their homework better. On top of that, mobile phones can help keep children safe. Also, we can be evaluating. Of course, students can be distracted by social media on their phones, and that's a hugely important issue we need to address. Maybe we can be speculating about the future. But mobile learning is going to become more popular, and so I think we do need to move with the times. Right? So there are lots of different higher order thinking skills we can be using. Of course, you need the English to do this, right? When we focus on the English needed to describe these skills, we often call them functions. In this video, the main functions I'm going to show you are giving opinions, reasoning, justifying, evaluating, and speculating. I'll give you some simple phrases and more sophisticated ones as well, so you're not always giving the same old, same old. And what's more, I'll explain which questions might match which functions. This is not mathematics, and you're not going to use all of these functions all of the time, right? But as you start practicing them, you will get familiar with them and start building up your confidence. On top of that, towards the end of the video, I'll also tell you about an app where I've put all of these functions so you can listen to them, practice your pronunciation. It's one of my favorite apps. It's IELTS Speak, and I'll tell you about a little challenge you can do on there in a short while. Right now, right now, let's get started with some HOTS. Okay, let's begin with giving opinions, which is a nice and easy place to start, okay? The kind of questions you may get here, obviously, do you think, do you agree that, is it a good idea to, okay? Now, some of the functions or the language you could use for giving opinions, I think that, I think so, or I reckon that, based on my experience, it seems to me that, okay, different expressions we can use. Let me give you an example. For the question, do you agree that books are better than films? Well, based on my experience, the book is usually better than the film. I mean, directors often give a narrow interpretation of the story, and it's really hard to capture the spirit of the original book. Okay, so you can see some different examples here. Now, a word of warning. Some students say to me, I mustn't use I think because it's too simple. I must always use more complex phrases, like based on my experience. Yes and no. Actually, no, not true. Native speakers use a combination of simple phrases and complex phrases, right? We do not use complex phrases all the time. If we did, we would sound like Shakespeare. And if Shakespeare were alive today, he would fail IELTS speaking. Sorry, Will, you got a band 5. It's true. Oh dear, I'm going to get into trouble with this. The Shakespearean Society of England will be knocking on my door. Oi! But no, in all seriousness, right? To speak natural spoken English, you need to use both, right? Simple sometimes, I think, I guess, I suppose. Complex at other times. So don't stress out, right? But use this video and the language I give as an opportunity to practice and just build up your flexibility and your confidence. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next let's look at giving reasons. Clearly, this will be the function you use for questions that ask why, right? Common questions might be, why is this so popular? Or why do some people do this? Okay. Now, simple answers could be simple phrases. It's because Slightly more complex. The main reason is Notice the stress, right? Stress main. The main reason is nice. Or there are a number of reasons. Firstly, there are a number of reasons. Try it. there are a number of reasons. Firstly, smashing. Another, it all boils down to this. This is a lovely expression, right? It boils down to, or it all boils down to, means that this is the most important thing, right? What's the secret of life? It all boils down to money, meaning money is the most important thing. Not true, just an example. Or finally, one cause could be da-da-da. A cause is a reason, right? One cause could be da-da-da. Okay. An example. Here's a question. Why do parents let their children use the internet at such a young age? So you could say, well, it all boils down to time, right? Parents are too busy to look after their children, so they use the internet as a kind of babysitter. Or I reckon the main reason is parents are too busy. So they don't have time to look after their children and they use the internet as a kind of babysitter. Great, let's move on. Right, now the next function or higher order thinking skill is justifying. This is closely connected to giving a reason. I mean, justifying is saying it's kind of giving a stronger reason. So some of these phrases you can use for both giving a reason and justifying. They can be connected. You can kind of combine them together sometimes. So again, we're looking at questions with the why, right? Why is so popular or so important? You know, why do some people do this? So again, simple phrases. You could say, for example, here, I think this is true because, or this seems to be the case because, This is down to the fact that, The reason I think so is, Let's look at an example. I'll give you a question here. You might find a question in part 3, something like this. Why do young people like studying in a coffee bar rather than at home? You could say, I'd say this is down to the fact that coffee bars can provide a relaxing atmosphere that is conducive to better study. At least that seems to be the case because chain stores like Starbucks, right, with their comfy sofas and soft music, are full of students studying. Okay, so we've given the reason about the relaxing music, the atmosphere, and then justify by saying at least that seems to be the case because we can see Starbucks is full of students. Okay, it's an example. Again, remember to combine, mix up. You can use these different phrases, especially for reasons and justifying. Let's move on. So, time for a break. You know what they say, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Hey, you're good. Very good at English. So, actually, maybe later. Let me show you something else. I've talked a lot about practicing English and practicing these phrases. A lot of students don't have people to practice with, but you do have mobile phones and apps like this one, Elsa Speak. Elsa Speak is a great app to practice on your own. It's a pronunciation app, but also helps you build vocabulary and confidence. So it's using really cutting edge artificial intelligence and voice recognition software. So it listens to you and it gives you feedback where you're right, where you're wrong, so you can get better and better and get closer to a proficient or native speaker. So let me give you a little tour inside. When you begin, look at this. This is new. Oh, this is great. You know, one of the things I love about Elsa is that they're not only continually updating the content, which is great, but also the customer experience, the student experience. So to give you an idea, right, in ELSA, you can practice, you can choose different sounds, dropping consonants, ending sounds, the schwa, and you can practice those individually. But also there are different topics. And for IELTS students, there's a whole IELTS area. And look, we've got here, IELTS speaking test, collocations. You can practice part 1, 2 or 3. You can actually choose the level that you're focused on. Let's say a band 7. Great. We're looking at part 3, right? So let's do some practice in part 3 and I'll show you how it works. Let's take places. Why not? And we'll do some collocations at the start.
Historic sites.
Thanks. So you listen and you have to repeat. Now, I can actually play that again. I can even play it slowly.
Historic sites.
Or normally.
Historic sites.
Then I repeat. Historic sites. Hooray! Excellent. I sound like a native speaker. Now let's move on and make it into a phrase.
We visited some historic sites.
But listen to my mistake. We visit some historic sites. Now it says excellent, but here's the thing. Let's go on the Advanced tab. And you'll see the Advanced tab actually breaks down and tells me where the mistake was. If I click on the word visit, it tells me I made a w sound. And also the id, visited wasn't right. I can play back what I said. Visit.
Visited.
And what it should be, visited. So let me try again. Regular. We visited some historic sites. Great. Advanced tab, 98%. That's good enough for me. Fantastic. So with ELSA, you can be practicing lots of phrases, conversations, and you're not only building up your pronunciation, you're building up your vocabulary and your confidence as well. It's great. Now, ELSA are sponsoring this video. A big thank you to ELSA for that. Very much appreciated from all of us. There are some discounts for you. If you want to click and download the app below to start practicing, you can get a discount. For a year membership, you get 30% off. If you sign up for a lifetime membership, that's a teacher in your pocket for life, 80% off. Fantastic. Great. So go and check it out if you like it. Go and look for the challenge I'm doing in IELTS Speaking Part 3. It's inside the app, and start practicing. Right now, back to our HOTS. So next up is evaluating. Now in IELTS Speaking Part 3, you probably will be asked to evaluate things, right? Is it useful, important? Is it necessary? What are the benefits or the drawbacks of things? Okay, so the kind of questions you may be evaluating things are: how important is how useful is what are the advantages and disadvantages of Okay, right. Now, here are some kind of useful functions and phrases we could use for evaluating things. Simply, first of all, it's important. Or it's important because. Next, it's hugely important. Notice the stress, right, on hugely. It's hugely important. It's extremely useful. These adverbs are very powerful in IELTS speaking. There's another video you can go and check out up here, all about how to use adverbs effectively in IELTS speaking. Also, another phrase, this is critical. Can you say that? This is critical. Great. Meaning extremely important. Really essential, right? Finally, it's not as important as you may think. Notice the rhythm. Di, 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 di. It's not as important as you may think. Great, which is a lovely expression to express it's not that important. Actually, it's not as important as you may think. Here's an example. Let's take this question. How important is tourism in your country? I think it's hugely important, actually. In recent years, with the pandemic, fewer and fewer tourists have been coming to my country, and this has really had a devastating impact on the local economy. Great. Nice example. What about you? How important is tourism in your country? Leave me a comment below. So next we're looking at speculating, which is like predicting, looking into the future. Do you remember the fortune tellers with the kind of the scarf over the head, the crystal ball, looking all mystic and telling you the future? That's what it's like. So questions in IELTS Speaking Part 3 like, will we more in the future? Or how will change in the future? Right? I sometimes wonder how students don't get really angry in IELTS Speaking, right? Because some questions are really hard, right? How will the world change in the future? Well, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a fortune teller. But of course, don't say that. It's just practicing your English, right? Okay, so how will something change in the future? Some phrases you can use. Simply, it will, If you're confident. If you're not sure, it might, It may, It could, Okay. Or, it may be that, Okay. It may be that this disappears in the future. If you're slightly more confident, you can say, it may well disappear in the future. It may well, And even more confident, it's highly likely that it will disappear in the future. Okay, so different phrases, different degrees of being sure, basically. Okay, let's look at an example. So, will books, paper books, disappear in the future? They might well disappear, given the popularity of ebooks and digital books nowadays. But that said, I still think a lot of people enjoy flipping through the pages of real books. And so I think it's highly likely we will have both paper books and digital books in the future. So we can combine some of the different phrases in our answers. Okay. A final point to remember, right? This is not mathematical. You don't have to use each phrase with each kind of question. You can mix them about. Also, you're not going to use all of these phrases in all of your answers, right? Different answers, you'll be doing different functions or higher order thinking skills. Maybe you're just reasoning and evaluating. Maybe you're just giving a reason and speculating. So it's about combining and building flexibility. That's why I want you to practice freely, naturally, to build your flexibility. Don't end up being a lower level, lower order thinker, just memorizing. Be a higher level thinker. Okay? And most of all, have fun with these. You can go and practice with friends or other students. If you like to practice on your own, you can. I recommend you go and download the mobile app IELTS Speak. There are links below. You can start practicing. Look for the challenge by Keith, IELTS Speaking Part 3 challenge, and you can be practicing all of these words and phrases to get your pronunciation spot on. Great. Also, click on the link below when you download. If it's right for you, you can sign up for a year membership and you'll get a 30% discount. If you sign up for life, you get an 80% discount. It doesn't get any better. Elsa, a teacher in your pocket for life. Great. Whatever you decide to do, have fun learning your English. And remember, if you like the video, please do subscribe. Turn on the notifications to find out about more upcoming videos. And I will see you, my friend, in the next video just around the corner. Take care. Bye-bye.